Hello students, this is Asra Sultana, Assistant Professor in Triple Department, working in ISL Engineering College. So today I am going to start the third unit of Electrical Machines 2 subject. So third unit consists of synchronous machines, its types and constructional details, winding factors, EMF equations, fractional pitch and fractional slot windings, suppression of harmonics and tooth ripple, armature reaction and reactance, synchronous impedance, then a synchronous generator, voltage regulation, phasor diagram, OC and SA characteristics, synchronous impedance, and ampere turn and ZPF method for finding out the voltage regulation, principle of two reaction theory, and its application for the salient pole synchronous machine analysis, synchronizing and parallel operation. Okay, so this entire thing is third unit. So today's class I am going to tell about what is an alternator, what are the differences between DC generator and alternator, what are the advantages of rotating field over rotating armature, and the construction of alternator we are going to see in today's class, and the working principle, and mechanical and electrical degree, and synchronous speed. So let us start our topic for synchronous machine. So let us see the introduction part. The machines generating ACMF are called as alternators or synchronous generators, and the machines accepting input from AC supply to produce mechanical output are called as synchronous motors. Okay, so alternator or synchronous generator is a machine which will generate ACMF. And what is a synchronous motor? Synchronous motor will take AC supply to produce the mechanical output. Okay. So both these machines will work at a specific constant speed called as synchronous speed, and hence in general this combination of synchronous generator and synchronous motor is called as synchronous machines. Okay, both together we can tell it as synchronous machine. Let us see the difference between DC generator and alternator. So what is an AC generator? AC generator is a device which converts mechanical energy into AC electrical energy, and DC generator is a device which converts mechanical energy into DC electrical energy. Okay. So already we have seen when we were seeing the DC generator in electrical machine 1 subject, that with the help of a commutator we can convert the AC EMF which is induced in the motor or in the generator can be converted into DC with the help of a commutator. Okay. So AC generator will convert mechanical energy into AC electrical energy. DC generator will convert mechanical energy into DC electrical energy. If you want DC, we take DC generator. If you want AC, we will take AC generator. Okay. So in AC generator, direction of electrical current will reverse periodically. So in DC generator, direction of electrical current doesn't change. Okay. Changing periodically means what? Once it is positive, next time it is negative, then positive, then negative. Whereas in DC generator, direction will be positive only. We'll get a DC line. Okay. AC generator does not have commutator. Okay, just now we discussed. DC generator will have a commutator to make the current flow in only one direction. Whereas AC generator is used in small power electrical appliances. DC generator is used to power very large motors. AC generators will require less maintenance. DC generator require frequent maintenance. So what is this slip ring and brush assembly? The arrangement which is used to collect the induced EMF from rotating armature and which will be available to the stationary circuit is called as slip ring and brush assembly. So what is this slip ring and brush assembly doing? They are collecting the induced EMF from the rotating armature and giving it to the external stationary circuit. Okay, the external circuit or external load is stationary while the armature is rotating. So slip rings and brush assembly will collect the induced EMF from the rotating armature and give it to the stationary external circuit. So whenever we have to develop a contact between rotating element and stationary circuit without converting AC to DC, slip rings and brush assembly is used. In three-phase alternators, armature will consist of three-phase winding and ACMF will get induced in these windings. So after connecting windings either in star or delta, so these windings will be brought out. So across these terminals, three-phase supply will be available. So armature will be rotating and stationary load cannot be connected directly to the armature. So that is why slip rings are used here. So these slip rings will be mounted on the shaft and they are made up of some conducting material. Each terminal of winding will be connected to individual slip ring permanently. So three-phase supply will be available across the rotating slip rings and the brushes will be resting on the slip rings. So as you can see in the figure, brushes will be resting on the slip rings, just making contact. And hence now the supply will be three-phase supply will be available across the brushes which are stationary. So not only we can take out the EMF induced from the rotating winding, also we can inject the EMF into the rotating winding from outside with the help of this slip ring and brush assembly. Okay, so they are not only will provide, they will also take the EMF, okay, into the rotating winding from outside. Now there is a difference between the DC generator and AC generator. So whereas in DC generator, rotating armature was a rotor and field was armature was rotating and field was stationary, right, in DC generator. Now in AC generator it is opposite. Now the field is rotating and armature is stationary. Okay, armature is stationary now and field is rotating. Okay, this you have to remember. Okay, understand also that whereas in DC generator the field was stationary and armature was rotating, now it is quite opposite. uh, the field is rotating now and armature is stationary. So there will be certain advantages of rotating field over rotating armature. Okay, so what are the advantages of rotating field over rotating armature? We will see now. So the voltage can be directly connected to the load and we can insulate the conductor with the help. But this is one of the advantage of having stationary armature winding. Second one is that it is very hard to get the largely induced EMF in the rotating armature because conductors of rotating armature require the slip rings and brushes. So it is also difficult to insulate. So rotating field winding is excited by DC source, which is very less. So sparking problems are not occurring now. Okay, earlier we were exciting this by an AC. Okay, so sparking problem was occurring there. Now it is not occurring here in this case. And two slip rings are required for single phase, one for positive terminal, other for negative terminal. As armature is stationary, electrical and mechanical stresses will become less now. So when armature was rotating, we can see that there were mechanical losses, friction and windage losses. Okay. Now those losses are reduced because armature is stationary now. And one more advantage of rotating field is that cooling arrangement can be easy for high voltage side if it is kept stationary. So cooling arrangement can be easier now. Inertia is low because low DC voltage is given to the rotor side. So what is rotor now? Rotor is now field. Okay. Field winding. So inertia will be low because low DC voltage will be given to the field winding. Armature is kept as stationary so that large current can collect easily. Why we are keeping armature stationary? Okay, because it can collect larger currents. If it is rotating, it is difficult to collect the larger current. Okay, and last difference is that advantage is that cost of the system will be low as compared to the rotating armature type. Okay, when we use the rotating field and stationary armature, the cost of the system will be very low compared to the rotating armature type. Now let us see the construction of a synchronous machine. It consists of stator and rotor as we said earlier. What is a stator? Stator is a stationary armature now. It will consist of core and slots to hold the armature winding. And laminated construction is used for the stator core now. It is built up of special steel stampings insulated from each other with varnish or paper. So why we are insulating here or why we are using a laminated construction? To keep the eddy current losses minimum. And to reduce the hysteresis losses, we are using the silicon steel material, okay, to keep the hysteresis losses as minimum. So entire core is fabricated in frame made up of steel plates, and the core will have the slots on the periphery for housing the armature conductors. Periphery means what? Outer part, okay. So on the outer part, core will have the slots. Why slots are there here? To keep the conductors inside it, okay. But the frame here now will not carry any flux, but it will serve as a mechanical support to the core. Ventilation is also maintained here with the help of holes. Now let us see the construction of a. So the rotor is of two types, salient pole and smooth cylindrical type. Salient pole type is also called as projected pole type, as all the poles are projected out from the surface of the rotor, and they are made up of thick steel laminations, and they are bolted to the rotor. So if pole face has been given some specific shape, field winding is provided on the pole shoe. These rotors will have large diameters and small axial length, and they are preferred for low speed alternators ranging from 125 rpm to 500 rpm. The prime movers which are used to drive such rotor are generally water turbines and IC engines. So second type of rotor is smooth cylindrical type rotor. This is also called as non-salient type or non-projected pole type of rotor. So rotor will consist of smooth solid steel cylinder having number of slots to accommodate the field coil. Okay, so inside these slots coil will be placed. We can see the direction of current into the plane of the paper and out of the plane of the paper in the diagram. Okay, there are 4 poles here, 2 south poles and 2 north poles. Slots are covered at the top with the help of steel or manganese wedges. So unslotted portion of the cylinder will act like a poles. Okay, so this is a 4-pole rotor we have seen. Now these poles are not projecting out and the surface of the rotor is smooth, which maintains uniform air gap between stator and rotor. These rotors will have small diameters and large axial lengths. So main advantage of this type of rotor is that they are mechanically very strong and thus preferred for high-speed alternators. They are ranging from 1500 to 3000 rpm speed, and that is why these high-speed alternators are also called as turbo alternators. And the prime movers which are used to drive these type of rotors are generally steam turbines, electric motors, etc. Now let us see the operating principle of a synchronous generator or synchronous machine. So the alternator will work on the principle of electromagnetic induction. When there is a relative motion between the conductor and the flux, EMF will gets induced in the conductors. Okay, so what is the meaning of relative motion? So either the conductor should move or the flux should move. Okay, so then EMF will be induced in the conductors according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So what is the difference between the practical alternator and the DC generator? So in alternator, conductors are stationary, field is rotating. Okay. So whereas in a DC generator, it is opposite. Field is stationary and conductors were rotating, right? But for understanding purpose, we can consider relative motion of conductor with respect to flux. Okay. We are not telling here which one is stationary and which one is moving. So we are using the term called as relative motion between the conductor and the flux. So the diagram on left side is showing a relative motion of single conductor under magnetic field produced by two stationary poles. Okay, there are two poles here, north and south poles. So a conductor is placed in the magnetic field produced by two stationary poles. So we are putting the magnetic axis of these poles to be vertical. It is shown with a dotted line here. This is shown as a dotted line between north and south pole. Conductor is placed. So conductor is starting its rotation from point number 1. So at this instant, entire velocity component is parallel to the flux line. So there is no cutting of the flux. So the d phi by dt at this instant is 0. That is rate of change of flux with respect to time. D phi by dt means what? Rate of change of flux with respect to time is 0 here. So EMF induced in conductor is also 0. So when the conductor will move from position 1 to 2, so some part of the velocity components become perpendicular with the flux lines, and proportional to that EMF gets induced in the conductor. So magnitude of such EMF induced will increase as the conductor will move from position 1 to 2. Okay, now the some EMF will be induced. So from position 1 to position 2 when it is moving, so some EMF will be induced. At position 2, entire velocity component is perpendicular to the flux lines. So maximum cutting of the flux will take place here. So at this instant, induced EMF will be maximum. Okay, at the instant 2. Again from 2 to 3, when it is moving, flux will decrease and hence EMF induced magnitude also starts decreasing. So at position 3, entire velocity component is parallel to the flux line, and at this instant EMF induced in the conductor is 0. At 1 and 3 it is 0. Again at 4 it will become maximum. From position 3 to 4 it will move. So at 4 it will achieve maximum in opposite direction. Okay, we have to remember here that it is in opposite direction now. So entire velocity component becomes perpendicular to the flux line. So from 4 to 1 induced EMF will decrease, and finally at position 1 again becomes 0. So this cycle will be continuous when the conductor is rotating with certain speed. So when we plot the magnitude of induced EMF against time, so what will be the nature of this EMF induced? It will be alternating. Okay, that is from position 1 to 3 it is in positive direction, again 3 to 1 again it will be in negative direction. So this is the operating principle of a alternator. One cycle is nothing but here 360 degrees electrical. Now let us see the what is mechanical and electrical angle of an alternator. So for a two-pole alternator, one mechanical revolution will be equal to one electrical cycle of induced EMF. Okay, here you can see. So one revolution is equal to one cycle. In these two diagrams you can see. So this is one complete revolution in mechanical and one complete cycle in electrical, right? So let us consider a four-pole alternator. Here we can see four poles, north, south, north and south. Okay, four poles of alternator we are considering here. So due to four poles, magnetic axis exists diagonally. Okay, like this we can see here diagonally cross it is shown here, and it is shown with the dotted lines. So at position 1 of conductor, velocity component is parallel to the flux, while position 2 it is gathering of flux. So entire velocity component is perpendicular. So again at position 1 EMF induced will be 0. At position 2 gathering of flux is there, entire velocity component is perpendicular. So it is maximum at position 2. So similarly when the conductor will rotate, induced EMF will be maximum at positions 4, 6 and 8. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8. So EMF induced will be maximum, and at positions 1, 3, 5, 7 it will be minimum. So during one complete revolution of conductor, EMF induced will experience 4 times maxima, twice in either direction and 4 times 0 because of 4 poles. So if we plot the nature of induced EMF for one revolution of conductor, we will get 2 electrical cycles here. Okay, as it is a 4-pole alternator. So for a 2-pole we were getting one cycle, one electrical cycle. Now for an 8-pole we are getting a 2 electrical cycles of induced EMF. Okay, and that is 720 degrees electrical. So the number of cycles of induced EMF will depend upon the number of poles of an alternator. So for a 4-pole alternator we can write 360 degree mechanical is equal to 720 degrees electrical. Can I write like this? For a 4-pole alternator, 360 degrees mechanical, here this is a 4-pole alternator. So entire 360 degrees it is going, and we are getting 2 cycles here, electrical cycles. So that is 720 degrees electrical. So 360 degree mechanical is 720 degrees electrical. So we can establish the general relation between degrees, mechanical degrees and electrical degrees. That is 360 degree mechanical can be written as 360 into P by 2 electrical. P is number of poles here. So we are taking here 4 poles, so that's why 4 by 2 is 2. So 2 into 360 is 720. So I am writing like this, 360 into P by 2. Or what I can write from this equation, 1 degree mechanical is P by 2 degree electrical. Okay, that is 1 degree mechanical is P by 2 degree electrical. Frequency of induced EMF. If P is the number of poles and N is the speed of the rotor in RPM and F is the frequency of induced EMF. So one mechanical revolution of rotor is P by 2 cycles of EMF electrically. So whatever we have written here, same thing I am telling here. That is 1 degree mechanical is P by 2 degree electrical. One mechanical revolution of rotor is P by 2 cycles of EMF electrically. So there are P by 2 cycles per revolution. As speed is n rpm in 1 second, rotor will complete n by 60 revolutions. But what is frequency? Frequency is nothing but cycles per second. So I am writing the equation of frequency as number of cycles per revolution into number of revolutions per second. So same thing I am writing here, that is cycles per second can be written as cycles per revolution into revolution per second. Revolution gets cancelled. Okay. Now this number of cycles per revolution is P by 2 and number of revolutions per second is n by 60. So combine these two, that is F will become equal to what? Pn by 120 cycles per second or hertz. These are the units of the frequency, either hertz or cycles per second. So there exists a fixed relationship between three quantities, that is number of poles, speed of the rotor, n in rpm and the frequency of induced EMF in hertz. Frequency of the induced EMF. Okay. Poles, speed and frequency, that is F is equal to Pn by 120. Now let us see the synchronous speed. Per fixed number of poles, alternator has to be rotated at a particular speed to keep the frequency of EMF constant. Okay, such a speed is called a synchronous speed of alternator. It is denoted by Ns. Ns is equal to 120 F by P and F is the required frequency here. So in our country, frequency of alternating EMF will be equal to 50 Hz. So to get 50 Hz for different number of poles, alternator must be driven at different speeds called as synchronous speeds. So whenever we are having frequency of 50 Hz, so synchronous speed will be 3000 rpm. Thank you all of you for watching this video. So today's class we have discussed about the synchronous machines. Okay, synchronous machines and what is the differences between DC generator and alternator, and we have seen what is the concept of slip ring and brush assembly. Okay, so slip ring and brush assembly will collect the current from the rotating armature and give it to the external stationary circuit. And we have seen that in alternator, the field is rotating and armature is stationary, which is opposite to that of a DC generator. So there are certain advantages also for rotating field over rotating armature. We have seen this, we have discussed this. Okay, then construction of synchronous machine we have seen. It consists of stator and a rotor. So stator will have the slots on its periphery inside which conductors will be placed. Okay, and the construction is laminated here to keep the iron losses to minimum, and that is eddy current losses will be minimum if you are laminating the core, and it is made up of steel material uh, to minimize the hysteresis losses. Then we have seen the rotor is of two types. One is a salient pole rotor, another one is a smooth cylindrical type or non-salient pole motor. So salient pole rotor It is used for low speed alternators ranging from 125 rpm to 500 rpm, whereas smooth cylindrical type is used for 1500 to 3000 rpm. So that is why they are called as turbo alternators. Then we have seen the operating principle of the synchronous machine. So they work on the principle of electromagnetic induction. So there should be a relative motion between the conductors and the flux to be induced in the conductors. So the main difference between DC generator and AC generator is that in DC generator, conductors were moving and flux was stationary. Now here in AC alternator, conductors are stationary and field is rotating. So, but for understanding purpose, we will always consider that there is a relative motion between the conductor and the flux. So we have seen at various positions, that is at 1, 2, 3, 4, when the EMF is 0 and when the EMF is maximum, according to the lines, flux lines cut by the conductor, whether they are parallel or perpendicular with the flux lines. Okay, so when the conductor is parallel or perpendicular, according to that we can see that EMF induced is minimum or maximum. Okay, so at one position we are seeing that entire velocity component is parallel to the flux, so there is no cutting of the flux, and the rate of change of flux with respect to time will be 0. So no EMF will be induced at position 1. At position 2, it is entirely perpendicular, so maximum EMF gets induced. Again at 3, EMF is 0. At 4, EMF is maximum but in reverse direction. So we are getting an alternating EMF like this, and one cycle is equal to 360 degrees electrical. Now we have seen the relationship between mechanical and electrical angle also. So let us consider a 4-pole alternator in which we can see at position 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, 1, 3, 5, 7. Minimum EMF is induced, and at position 2, 4, 6, 8 maximum EMF is induced. Okay, so here we can see there will be two cycles, that is 720 degrees electrical. We have found out a relationship between mechanical and electrical degrees as 1 degree mechanical is equal to P by 2 degrees electrical. Then we have seen the frequency of induced EMF as Pn by 120, F is equal to Pn by 120. So P is the number of poles and N is the speed of the machine in RPM. Okay. A synchronous speed also we have seen. Synchronous speed is given by 120 F by P. F is the required frequency and P is the number of poles. Okay. So next class we are going to see about the various winding terminology used in case of these alternators, that is what is a turn, what is a coil, what is coil side, what is a conductor. Okay, we are going to see all the winding terminology, and also we are going to see the types of armature windings: single layer, double layer, concentrated, distributed, etc. Okay, so next class we are going to see all those. Thanks for watching the video. Thank you everyone.